A detour through the day's news, up-to-the-minute helicopter traffic, and global sky tracker weather. Calgary Today with Joe McFarland on 770 CHQR.
It's everyone's favorite time of the week. Again, it is Wine Wednesday, and Mike Roberts joining us from Co-op Wine, Spirits, and Beer. Of course, Wine Wednesday is brought to you by Co-op Wine, Spirits, and Beer, where membership pays. Sign up and start earning today. Mike, how are you, Mr. Groot?
Mr. Groot. Yeah, I was told I look like Groot with my jacket and my scarf today. I was like, you realize that's not really a compliment, right?
It's so funny is anybody who makes fun of us getting bundled up is like, as you get older, like when you're younger, it's cool to be, I'm wearing a t-shirt in the middle of winter. Yeah. As you get older, you start to appreciate how great it is to be warm.
Yes.
And so I actually applaud you for having the scarf out. I need to buy myself a scarf.
I did turn my thermostat up to 22 and a half this morning before I left. But yeah,
it's so funny how we do that here in Canada too, is with the thermostat and how we always change it. You know, the minute that it turns even a little bit cold, it's actually not like it's 10. It goes from 25 to 10. And everybody's like, oh, got to turn up the heat. Got to get the fireplace going. And so you're not here to talk weather or clothes or anything like that. Of course, you're here to talk wine. And you brought in a white, which is, I don't know if you've done that yet. There's been a lot of reds this year.
I don't think I've done a white since you've taken over for the afternoon show here.
Yeah.
I think it's a first for us, but it's interesting. People come and look for assistance in the shop with, weddings and different gatherings and functions and stuff like that. And quite often they say, oh, so what is it, like 50-50 white red I should get? And in Alberta, we really skew to red wine. It's a good 60-40 to 70-30. It's really skewed to that red wine style. So whites aren't quite as popular. It makes sense, though, with our climate. We were just talking about the cold weather and stuff. It is kind of funny. Today is actually International Merlot Day.
Oh, okay.
So you would think I probably should bring a Merlot.
And
instead I brought a white wine, but that's okay. Who needs that stinking Merlot anyways?
It's fascinating that way is Aaron and I were out in Canmore testing for the wedding coming up in about 6 months and doing the taste tests and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things you have to pick is a kind of wine for both red and white. That was one thing that she looked at me and went, so you're the expert in wine. I went, I don't know. And so I was reading through and I think I did okay. Yeah. I hope I did okay anyways. But it'll be interesting to see heading into it because I think we pay based on consumption. Mm-hmm. And so I'll have to get the breakdown and see. And then I'll report back to you.
These days, especially these places where you're going to have a wedding and stuff, usually have somebody on staff with some knowledge. Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer, of course, we teach those WSET Wine and Spirit Education Trust programs, and a lot of restaurants are putting some people, some of their employees through those programs. They're great, and they really do focus. One of the main components of that first level is food and wine pairing and stuff like that. So you usually end up in good hands.
It has really become a bit of an art form, hasn't it? In terms of if you're going to specialize, you better specialize hard or go home.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's interesting that way. Let's talk about this wine in particular. It's from BC.
Yeah, it's cool. It's called Ursa, and it's from a winery called Ex-Nihilo. So that's in Lake Country. So if you're familiar with the Okanagan and Kelowna and all that stuff, you're sort of north up the shore from Kelowna and Lake Country. Some pretty cool wineries out there. So what's wrong with my brain? Grey Monk maybe is a close-by winery that a lot of people would recognize. And these guys specialize in cooler climate wine, so things like Chardonnay, Riesling, Pinot Noir for red, because you are a little further up north in the Okanagan there. It is actually significantly cooler in the growing season. And this is a fun, aromatic white wine style. It's really easy drinking, kind of dangerously crushable. Little tiny bit of residual sugar, so a lot of people would think of it as on the sweeter side. I don't like using the S word because it tends to scare people away a little bit, I think, sometimes. But it's kind of fruit driven and really aromatic, really pretty on the nose when you smell it. And if you're thinking comfort food tonight in the cooler weather, really salty, rich dishes, I think this would go really well. But if you wanted to stop home at like Wok Box or something and get like Thai flavored dish or Indian cuisine or some authentic Chinese food, I think this would go really well with that.
I'm curious, when you talk about BC's wine country and knowing over the last couple of years all the forest fire situation, the smoke, that kind of thing, does smoke have a bad influence on grapes?
It can if there's prolonged like influence or interaction. Exposure is the word I was looking for. And usually it kind of sticks around for a few weeks in BC, or at least the last few years. That's kind of what it's done. Right. You can actually send your grapes to a lab to get tested for smoke taint. So
really?
if you can afford to go do that and that kind of stuff. So they can look into that. The biggest thing is the smoke filters out the sun, so it does affect the grape's ability to ripen properly on the grapevine, and so that potentially could affect, how the grapes and the wine end up tasting. Right. Not so much that it's going to taste smoky, although smoke taint is a real thing and can happen, but it's not as easily happening and often as people think it does.
So some of the natural tastes that come out of the grape won't come through if it's not exposed to enough sun.
Yeah, well, and the flavors and the physiology of the grape are going to be different. The grape needs the sun and warmth so that the skins, the physiology of the skins and the seeds and the flesh on the inside and everything, so that it can grow and ripen properly. So the components of the wine, the acidity and the tannins and all that kind of stuff can be affected for sure.
I know BC wine is going to be top of mind for a few people heading out to Grape Escape in a weekend's time. So not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. Talk a little bit about Grape Escape and sort of what you guys are hoping to bring, or what you guys are expecting coming through the doors.
Grape Escape's lots of fun. It's not just wine, tons of spirits, tons of beer booths. Of course, more and more Alberta beer booths, and everyone has lots of fun. No need for sampling tickets. No more food tickets. There's all kinds of restaurants and all kinds of other things happening. But we've got the BC Wine Institute coming out to join us for Grapescape. They're going to have a booth and giving you all kinds of cool information about what's happening in BC. And then we'll also have 3, I call them seminars, but I don't like that. It sounds very studious. So just sort of mini BC wine tasting events that'll be guided by our sommeliers, myself and Eric and some of the others that are on our team. Just giving you a little bit more info about what's happening in BC, and they're, sort of really discovering themselves and what we're really good at and what grapes we're really good at and all that stuff. And BC's starting to make an impact on the international wine scene. Really? We're starting to get our reputation out there as Canadian wine producers and quality wine producers, and interest and investment and tourism is all really growing in BC. So it's something we should be proud of,
Yeah, I was going to say, just judging by the number of people who are going, I'm going to go out west and we're going to go do a couple of wineries and just have a little bit of fun and see where the night takes us, kind of thing. So that's cool that we're finding that niche in the market, which is great to see. Yes. In terms of this wine, while I taste it, why don't you tell everybody, give the name again and maybe some of the other details about it.
Yeah, it's really soft, easygoing wine style, a little bit of sweetness, like I said, really aromatic. It's called Ursa. It's by Ex-Nihilo Winery. It's on sale in all of our locations right now. And highly recommend it if you want to get into some Thai food and Indian food and stuff. It'd be a really great accompaniment to that. So
I've been a big fan of whites simply because I don't feel big afterwards, bigger, because it's not as full. It feels spring-like, which is nice on a winter-esque kind of day like this. Mike Roberts from Co-op Wine, Spirits, and Beer. Wine Wednesday brought to you by Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer. Taste the world of wine through the social collection only at Co-op. Mike, thanks for doing this. We'll see you again next week.
Always a pleasure.